All right, guys, welcome back to More Ignorance in Basketball. Now, am I surprised that LeBron James, their king, not ours, but some people's king, would fake an injury just to avoid another loss to the Suns? No, I'm not surprised. I am, however, a little bit disappointed because, again, I like to see how this team stacks up against, really good teams. They haven't really played a really good team in a while. And I honestly think the only loss that this team has taken to a quote unquote contender, like a real one, is the Clippers. Remember when they only played them once this season. And it was early on, and I think they got down by like 30. And then they came back, either tied it or took like a 1 point lead, but they just couldn't pull it out. That's the only team that the Suns have lost to where you could say that they lost to a better team. Now, I don't think the Clippers are better because they have a bunch of pussies on that team, but I think that's the only team you could even argue it. So even though they didn't have AD, I think we were all kind of excited just to see how this team stacks up against the Lakers again, even though they have played them and they beat that ass. So it was kind of a bummer that LeBron got hurt, but you got to play who's in front of you. And again, the Suns came out on top. Now, I'm happy because we've seen, like against the fucking Nets, this team play down to the competition. Now, I know that they didn't beat the brakes off this team, but really, I don't think this is one of those games where the Suns just didn't give a shit and they took the game off. I really think they just had a poor shooting night. Like the Suns shot 28% from three. When the hell is the last time that happened? Fucking never. But again, their defense was so good. Like the Lakers shot 41% from the field, 19% from three. 19, not 90, 1-9. That is god awful. And I don't think LeBron or AD, I mean, they're not fucking Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. I don't think they would have increased the 3 point by that much. But, who knows? So I think that's really what it was about. I mean, Devin Booker missed 3 free throws in a row. I was like, what is it? Did somebody fucking poison them? Like, why are they confused? What the fuck is this shit? But again, they pulled it out. And a lot of this game, it was close. They were up by like 5 to like 12-ish. But again, the late game execution. This team is really starting to remind me of that Warriors team, even though I can't fucking stand the Warriors. That Warriors team where they won their first championship because they keep it kind of close. They lose to teams that are inferior. They kind of have a turnover issue. They shoot a lot of threes. And again, they're able to end quarters really well. Like this team, I think they were like damn near tied, and then they ended the second quarter really well, and they ended the fourth quarter really well. So I think that's a really good sign. And I always say late game execution travels to the playoffs. That's always what I'm looking for in the regular season. It seems like this team's finally starting to build like real playoff winning habits, and I'm really excited. Actually, speaking of playoffs, April is going to be the month for this team. They have a lot of fucking tough games coming up. A lot of tough games. Just their next game is the Heat. Then they play the Magic, who are ass, but they did just beat the Nets. The Raptors, Hornets, don't give a fuck. Hawks, what are they on, like a 9-game winning streak? Fucking ridiculous. Then they play the Thunder and Rockets, who are shit. Jazz. They have a Jazz and Clippers back-to-back. God, that's fucked up. I wholeheartedly believe if the NBA is going to give you back-to-back, make them be shitty teams. At least one of the teams should be shitty. I think that's fair. Then they play the Heat again. They play the Spurs, who are like 7th somehow. I don't know how the fuck that's happening. Then they have the Bucks, the Sixers, the Celtics, the Nets, the Clippers again, the Jazz, the Hawks again. It's like, God, the Lakers again, the Trailblazers, and the Spurs again. Like, fuck. Actually, that's May, so never mind. But some of those were in May, I'm not going to lie. But, like, they got some real tough games coming up. And that's great because I forgot where I learned this from, but the Suns have had like right in the middle as far as like their schedule difficulty, which is great because it's given them time to figure things out. I'm glad they haven't had like one of the tougher schedules. So I think this month is going to be like a test to see where they really stand. Like if they could survive this month and they're still, 1 or 2 seed, then we know it's real. And only time will tell. I obviously think this team can do it. I still have yet to see them play against a team where I'm like, fuck, that team's better. Every loss they've taken was because, well, some of them were early. Maybe I don't count those. Like even that Clippers loss, that was earlier on. I think if they had played that exact same game now, that would have been a win. But like I was saying, I have every single loss they've taken was to a clearly inferior team. Like that Timberwolves loss. Like that was clearly a shittier team. Like record aside, you can just tell that was clearly a shittier team, and it was more of an effort thing. So I'm excited because the Nets, I'm not going to lie, they look fucking good. They look really good. So we're going to see how they stack up against them, and we're going to see how they stack up against hopefully a healthy Lakers team. We're going to see how they stack up against the Heat when they're playing well, and the Hawks when they're on like a fucking 10-game winning streak. So I'm really excited. We're definitely going to have more content on the way, obviously. I don't know why I say we, because it's literally just me. Nobody else helps me with these fucking videos. But what did you guys think of this game? I thought it was a solid win. They survived terrible shooting, and they played really good defense. So I really feel like that's all you can ask for. Now, let's go through some individual efforts, because not going to lie, a lot of guys had rough nights today. Like Bridges, he only had 10 points in 33 minutes, but he just didn't shoot a lot. I think he was still pretty efficient from what I remember. And he had a good game. He played pretty good defense. He had pretty good help defense. He did his thing. He had 10 points, 6 boards, 1 assist. Crowder with 11 points. Ayton, we got to talk about Ayton. How could I wait so long to bring up Ayton? I'm so sorry for the disrespect, because he hasn't really had like an amazing offensive game in a while. And this game is perfect for him, because Ayton is the type of center that I don't think he's really going to be able to. He's not like Jokic where like nobody can guard him. But if there's a switch and there's like a 4, like a kind of an undersized 4 or anything smaller than that on him, and he's not getting double teamed, that's 2 points automatically. Like a Clint Capella or like a DeAndre Jordan, they can't really do that. They're just strictly roll to the basket type players. Ayton has a little bit, he has a lot more skill than them. So he was really able to take advantage of the Lakers because they didn't have any shot blockers today. So he gave you a very efficient 26 and 8, and he had two assists. Booker, they could not guard him in the first half at all. He had 26 points, 9 boards, 4 assists. It's weird that Booker is low-key a really good rebounder. When he wants to be, he can get boards whenever he wants. We had Chris Paul, shout out to him, with his 10,000 assists, old as hell. He gave you a triple-double, 11 points, 13 assists, 10 boards. He couldn't fucking buy a basket today, but it's funny. I forgot to mention this. What's his fucking name? Schroeder was on some bullshit late. He was just getting a lot of stupid fucking... He was forcing the refs to make a lot of bad calls, a lot of offensive fouls and shit, just a bunch of bullshit. He was doing a lot of hacky bullshit, and Chris Paul was fucking getting pissed, and he had like 3 steals late in the game. It was hilarious. That's the Chris Paul I'm looking forward to in the playoffs, because he's one of the few players that's always better in the playoffs than he is in the regular season. Campaign kind of had a rough game today. He only had 5 points, 4 assists, 1 board in 20 minutes. Cameron Johnson, first game back with the fresh cut. He gave you 8 points, three boards. He had a block, and he was really efficient. I think he only missed like once this game. Okay, now we got to talk about Saric. He was terrible today. He was awful. I just have to be honest. Saric, I know you're watching this. You were terrible. Fucking terrible. 4 points, 2 assists, 2 boards. He only had 1 field goal all game. He only played 15 minutes because he was that bad. But defensively, offensively, he just wasn't there. He just couldn't make a fucking jump shot. I feel like he was like 0 for 5 or 0 for 6 from 3. It just wasn't pretty. Nader gave you 5 points and 5 boards, 2 assists in 11 minutes. He had a lot of fouls, though. I think he had like 5 fouls. So we got to work on that. He has this thing where when he drives, he just drives, and he doesn't really have full control. So he gets offensive fouls a lot. He gets people draw charges on him a lot. So That's definitely something he needs to work on. Galloway, 3 points in 9 minutes. He didn't really shoot a whole bunch. I think he only shot like 2 times. He made a 3. We finally saw some Torrey Craig minutes. How did you guys feel? He had 2 points. He had 1 board. Now, I remember he got 2 fouls kind of quick. I thought one of them was kind of bullshit. But as I was doing my research, because as soon as this trade happened, I was just watching, hopefully not hours, but it felt like hours of just Torrey Craig highlights. And from what I saw, it seems like he fouls jump shooters a lot, which I don't like. Because now that I think about it, I don't think anybody on this team really does that. That's something that always pisses me off when you foul a jump shooter. But thinking about like everybody defensively on this team, there's not really anybody who makes like really stupid fouls. Like fouling a 3-point jump shooter, you almost never see that on this team. This team, it doesn't really have a lot of athleticism, but defensively they're really disciplined. So seeing somebody like Torrey Craig who's really athletic but may not be as disciplined, I don't know how I feel about it. It depends. I got to see. So if I see him fouling a bunch of fucking jump shooters, I'm going to get pissed off. That is the dumbest shit you can do. And honestly, that's it. Everybody else was just kind of like shit minutes. I mean, Kaminsky didn't even play. Moore hasn't played in a minute. So yeah, what did you guys think? Again, didn't shoot the ball well, but you know, you can control what you can control. I don't think they didn't shoot the ball well because the Lakers defense was amazing. I think they just had a rough night. Like a lot of those Sarge misses, he was open. He just didn't make them. So, and at least they kept the turnovers to only 10 this game. So that's good. They had 52 points in the paint. That's good. Yeah, they played like a decent game. They just didn't shoot well. And they were able to keep the Lakers, you know, below 100 points, which I know they don't have their main 2 guys, but I mean, keeping any fucking team below 100 points is like unheard of nowadays in the NBA. So I would take this game as a win, not a huge win, but a win. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. I don't really have a whole lot more to say. You know, we're coming up on the fucking trade deadline where we got like 3-4 days. It's on the 25th, right? Again, I think this team desperately needs another shot blocker. They need a little bit more athleticism. They need some shot blocking because they really only have Ayton. That's it. So I don't know who, like, I have heard no rumors of who they're going for. But I mean, this team got fucking Torrey Craig, and I didn't hear shit about that before it happened. So who knows if they got some things in the works. I definitely hope they do. I still think it's ring season, even if this team didn't make a fucking single move. But if I were GM, which I'm clearly not yet, but it doesn't mean it's never going to happen, people. That would be my main focus. Maybe backup point guard. If they could get like a George Hill, that would be muy bien, and that is Spanish, so you guys know. If they could get like a George Hill, you know, an athletic point guard to help, and a backup big, I think that'd be great. Because honestly, Sarge could start. I wouldn't be mad at that if Sarge started at the 4, or it was just like a backup 4. Because we all know he's not a great rebounder. He's not athletic at all, and he's definitely not a rim protector. So if you could play Sarge either at starting 4 or backup 4, I guess depending on the size of the team, you know how they do like with the Kaminsky thing. If Sarge could take the Kaminsky minutes and then we could have a real backup 5, I think that would be ideal. And then you could even have Kaminsky play the 4, depending on, you know, the size of the team and all that shit. Even if they could get, I know we've talked about like McGee in previous videos, but even somebody like a Nerlens Noel, I think would be great. Just somebody who's like a decent rim protector, somewhat athletic, can help get boards and help with interior defense. That would be muy bien. So let me know if you guys have any thoughts. What'd you guys think of the game? I know we're all a little bummed because LeBron faked an injury and all that shit because he's afraid of us. We get it. It's fine. We're getting used to it now. Steph, you know, he didn't want to play. Draymond didn't want to play. LeBron doesn't want to play. We get it. Okay, you're afraid to take the loss. It's okay. I get it. You don't want to get your ego bruised before the playoffs. It's understandable. But I think that's all I got. We'll definitely be making a video. Again, I don't know who we is. I'll definitely be making a video after the Heat game, and we'll talk then. So See you guys in a couple days. Peace.